I caught her before she hit the ground. That's the only way I know how to start this. Because that's the moment everything changed. The moment my little sister collapsed on my front porch at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and I caught her the way I used to catch her when we were kids falling out of trees in our backyard in Clarksville, Tennessee. Except this time, the bruise spreading across her cheekbone wasn't from a tree branch. Her name is Lily. She's 2 years younger than me. Softer in every way. I am hard. She paints watercolors on Sunday mornings. She cries at commercials. She remembers every single person's birthday in our family without writing it down. She has this laugh that sounds like wind chimes, and when we were growing up, strangers used to stop our mother in grocery stores just to say, "That little girl has the most beautiful smile I've ever seen." She was not smiling when I opened my door that night. Her lip was split. Her left eye was swollen nearly shut. She was wearing a long-sleeve shirt in July, and I didn't need to lift the sleeve to know what was underneath. Lily. I pulled her inside, sat her down on my couch, knelt in front of her. "Who did this to you?" She wouldn't look at me. She stared at the rug, the braided one I bought at a flea market in Nashville 2 summers ago, and she picked at a loose thread on her sleeve. "Lily, look at me." When she finally raised her eyes to mine, I felt something shift in my chest. Something cold and very, very steady. "It was Derek," she whispered. "Derek Holloway, her husband of 3 years. A man I had stood beside at their wedding in a yellow bridesmaid dress, holding her bouquet while she said I do, thinking he was the kind of man who deserved her. I was wrong. I brought her ice wrapped in a dish towel and sat beside her while she told me everything. Or tried to. She kept stopping, starting over, apologizing. Actually apologizing, like she had done something wrong by coming to my door. Like she was inconveniencing me by bleeding on my couch. "Stop saying sorry," I told her. "Don't you dare say sorry to me." She told me it had started small. A shove here, a grabbed wrist there. She had convinced herself those things weren't real, weren't serious, didn't count. By the time they counted, she felt too far in to get out. He had talked her out of her own job 18 months ago, said it would be good for her to stay home, said she seemed stressed, said he made enough for both of them. She had believed him. Now she had no income, no savings account in her own name, no credit card, no car registered to her. Everything was his. "Have you told anyone?" I asked. She shook her head. "Not Mom? Not anyone at church?" "He told me if I told anyone, he'd make sure I lost everything." She finally looked at me. "He said no one would believe me. He said I was too emotional. He said I was the problem." I had been a military police officer for 6 years before I got out and joined the sheriff's department in Davidson County. I had seen this before. Not in my own family, not with my own sister, but I had seen it. I knew the script. I knew what these men did. How they built the cage so slowly the person inside didn't notice the bars going up until the door was already locked. I also knew what it took to get out. "Are you going back there tonight?" I asked her. "I don't." She stopped. "I don't know where else to go." "You're staying here," I said. "That's not a question. You're staying here." She looked relieved and terrified at the same time, the way people look when they've been holding their breath so long they've forgotten what air feels like. I made her chamomile tea. I found her a clean t-shirt and a pair of sweatpants. I put her in my bed and sat on the edge until she fell asleep, which took a long time because she kept flinching at sounds. A car outside, a dog barking 2 houses down, the refrigerator cycling on in the kitchen. When her breathing finally went slow and even, I went and sat at my kitchen table in the dark. I thought about Derek Holloway. I thought about his easy smile at their wedding. I thought about the way he always put his arm around Lily's shoulders. Possessively, I realized now, not affectionately. I thought about how every time I had called her in the past year, she sounded a little quieter than the time before. I had told myself she was just tired. I had told myself she was settling into married life. I had told myself 100 comfortable things that let me sleep at night. I was done telling myself comfortable things. The problem was this: Lily was terrified of involving the police. I understood why. Derek was the kind of man who could make himself look calm and reasonable in front of authority, and Lily knew it. He had money, he had connections. He coached youth basketball at the rec center. He was the type of man who made other people think they knew him when they didn't know him at all. She was also, I realized, terrified of what he would do to her financial situation. He had engineered it perfectly. No job, no money, no independent credit history. If she left him now, with nothing but the clothes she was wearing, she would be starting from zero. I needed to help her build a foundation before she walked out that door for good. And I needed to do it without tipping him off. For 3 days, Lily stayed at my place. I called in a favor from a friend who worked at a legal aid office and got Lily connected with a domestic violence attorney, a woman named Patricia Chen who had seen everything and feared nothing. Patricia walked Lily through her options in a 2-hour meeting at my kitchen table while I sat across from them and took notes. The picture that emerged was complicated. Tennessee law was on Lily's side, but evidence would matter. Documentation would matter. And the hard reality was that the more evidence she could gather before she officially filed for protection, the stronger her position would be. Patricia also told us something that made Lily's hands go still in her lap. Derek had likely been hiding money. The way he had stripped her of financial independence. The accounts she didn't have access to. The business trips she wasn't sure were real. All of it pointed to a man who was preparing for the possibility of divorce on his own terms. A forensic accountant could find what he had hidden, but they needed to move before he knew they were looking. "I need to go back," Lily said that evening, after Patricia had left. I looked at her. "Just for a little while," she said quickly. "Just long enough to get documents. The marriage certificate, the bank statements I can access, the photos." She swallowed. "I have photos of what he did. I've been keeping them on an old phone he doesn't know about. I need that phone." "You are not going back in that house alone," I said. "He'll know something's wrong if I just disappear. He's already texted me 40 times. If I don't go back, he'll come looking, and if he figures out what we're doing before we're ready." "I know," I said. "I'm not saying you go back alone. I'm saying I go with you." She stared at me. "He'll recognize you. Not if he doesn't see me." Here's the thing about growing up with a younger sibling you're fiercely protective of. You learn their habits and their rhythms better than you know your own. I knew that Derek left the house every weekday morning at 7:45 to get to his office by 8:30. I knew because Lily had mentioned it a dozen times over the years without realizing what she was telling me, that he had a standing lunch with his business partner every Wednesday at noon and didn't return until 2. I knew he went to the gym on Tuesday and Thursday evenings and was gone for nearly 2 hours each time. What I was proposing was not a confrontation. Not yet. What I was proposing was a retrieval operation, and I had run enough of those to know exactly how to do it. Tuesday evening, while Derek was at the gym, I drove Lily back to the house in my car. She went in through the front door, her house, her key. I went around the back, through the unlocked gate she had left open for me, and in through the back door she propped open with a folded piece of cardboard. I had 30 minutes, maybe less. The house was exactly what I expected from a man like Derek. Everything perfectly arranged, everything in its right place, every surface clean in a way that felt like a statement. Control displayed as decor. I followed Lily to the home office where the paper files were kept. She gathered what she needed: bank statements, tax returns for the past 3 years, the deed to the house, insurance documents. I photographed everything on my phone in case the originals were taken. She found her emergency phone at the back of her underwear drawer where she had hidden it, powered it on just long enough to airdrop the photos to me, then powered it back down. We were out in 22 minutes. In the car, Lily shook for the entire drive back to my apartment. Not because anything had gone wrong. I think because everything had gone right, and after years of nothing going right, her body didn't know how to process it. "That's it," she said, when I pulled into my parking space. "That's enough." "That's the start," I said. "Patricia says it's more than enough to begin." But I need to tell you what happened next, because this is the part that nobody prepares you for. Wednesday morning, Derek called me. I hadn't expected that. I should have, but I didn't. Lily had told him she was visiting a friend out of town. He had apparently decided to go through her contacts and call everyone she might be visiting, which told me his calm, reasonable exterior was starting to crack. I let it ring. He called again. I picked up. "Hey, Derek," I said, as if everything were perfectly normal. "What's up?" "Is Lily with you?" His voice was measured, careful. The voice of a man who had practiced sounding reasonable. "No," I said. "I haven't talked to her in a few weeks, actually." "Why, is everything okay?" A pause. "She said she was visiting a friend. I thought maybe it was you." "I wish. I'd love to see her. Have you tried Sarah? Or her college friend Amy?" Another pause, longer this time. "I'll try them. Thanks." "Sure thing. Tell her to call me when she surfaces." He hung up. I sat with my phone in my hand for a long moment. Then I called Patricia. "He called me," I said. "He's looking for her. How much time do you think we have?" "I don't know. A day, maybe 2. He's smart. He's going to figure out that she has a lawyer before she wants him to." Patricia was quiet for a moment. "There's something I didn't tell Lily yesterday because I didn't want to overwhelm her." She paused. "I filed the emergency protective order this morning. We got it. But it doesn't mean anything until it's served to him." "When does it get served?" "That depends on the sheriff's office. Could be today. Could be tomorrow." "I'm in the sheriff's office," I said. There was a silence. "I know," Patricia said carefully. "I'm not suggesting, I'm not either," I said. "I'm just thinking out loud. Here is the thing I need you to understand about what I did next. I did not abuse my position. I did not pull rank or call in illegitimate favors. What I did was walk down the hall to the service division and ask whether anyone had a process server who could prioritize a same-day delivery on a newly issued protective order for a domestic violence case. It turned out they did. Derek Holloway was served with the emergency protective order at 12:47 on Wednesday afternoon in the parking lot of his favorite lunch restaurant in front of his business partner by a process server who did not care at all that he was wearing a nice suit. I know this because the process server texted me when it was done at my request. I told Lily at 1 o'clock. She was sitting on my couch with her tea, and when I told her, she set the mug down on the coffee table very carefully, put her face in her hands, and cried harder than I had ever seen her cry in my entire life. Not scared crying. Not sad crying. Relief. 28 years worth of carrying something heavy and finally being allowed to put it down. "It's not over," I reminded her gently. "There's still a lot ahead. The divorce, the financial piece, the hearing. I know." She wiped her face with the back of her hand. "I know." She wiped her face with the back of her hand. "I know, but this part is over." She looked up at me. "The part where I had to pretend nothing was wrong, that part is done. It was done." In the weeks that followed, Patricia's forensic accountant found what he had hidden: 3 offshore transfers, a second savings account Lily had no knowledge of, assets he had moved into his business in ways designed to make them invisible in a divorce proceeding. Not invisible enough, as it turned out. Derek Holloway hired the most expensive attorney in Nashville. It didn't matter. The documentation we had gathered that Tuesday evening, the records, the photos, the financial trail, was more than enough. His attorney asked 3 times in deposition if Lily was sure about the dates of the photographs. She was sure. She had always been sure. She had just been waiting for someone to ask. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. Lily received the house, half of the hidden assets, and enough in the settlement to restart her life without asking anyone for help. Derek was required to attend a court-mandated intervention program. He was removed from his volunteer coaching position at the rec center. He moved out of state within 6 months. I heard through mutual acquaintances that he told people the divorce had been nasty and unfair. I imagine that's true, from where he was standing. From where I was standing, it was exactly as fair as it needed to be. Lily is living in the house now. She repainted the whole interior, warm colors, nothing stark or cold. She got a dog, a big, dopey golden retriever named Biscuit, who sleeps on the couch and ruins throw pillows and makes her laugh every single day. She took a part-time job at an art supply store while she figures out her next move, and on Sunday mornings she still paints watercolors. Better ones than before, she says. She can take her time with them now. She called me on a Sunday morning about 2 months after the divorce was final. It was early, the kind of early that means something woke you up, and you needed to hear a familiar voice. "I've been thinking," she said, "about that night. The night I came to your porch." "Yeah, I almost didn't come," she said. "I sat in my car in your driveway for 45 minutes. I kept thinking, she's going to think I'm stupid. She's going to think I'm weak. She's going to think I should have left a long time ago." I didn't say anything. "I want you to know," she continued, "that I knew, even while I was sitting there, that you wouldn't think any of those things. That's why I finally knocked. Because I knew you wouldn't think that." We were both quiet for a moment. For anyone listening to this, Lily told me she wanted me to share this part, so if you are sitting in the driveway right now, or standing at the door, or waiting to make the call, please don't wait as long as I did. The person on the other side of that door who loves you, they are not going to think you are stupid. They are not going to think you are weak. They are going to catch you before you hit the ground. "Knock on the door," she said. "Just knock." I drove over to her house that Sunday morning and we drank coffee on her back porch, and Biscuit put his enormous head in my lap and the light came through the trees in that particular Tennessee way it does in October, gold and clean and honest, and my sister laughed at something the dog did, that wind chime laugh I had been afraid I would never hear the same way again. It sounded exactly the same. It sounded like she was going to be okay. If the story is about anything, it is about that. Not the documents gathered, not the protective order, not the attorney or the accountant or the hearing. It is about a woman who thought she was alone, finding out that she wasn't. It is about what happens when someone knocks on the door and the right person opens it. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24 hours a day at 1-800-799-7233. You can also text START to 887-8788. You are not alone. There is a way out, and there are people who will help you find it. And if you are the person by the phone, waiting. If you are the sister, the brother, the friend, the neighbor who doesn't want to overstep, let me tell you something from experience. Overstep. Every single time.